Welcome back to Tiny Grimes Games, and I'm here with another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video. And today I want to talk about the upcoming patch yet again. In my last video I talked about the potential of Yoda coming into the game, which I'm pretty confident about. And today I want to talk about the number of character buffs and nerfs that happened or are going to be happening in this patch and see how they affect the meta and more you as a free-to-play player and how you are going to be continuing on with your strategy for farming. So the first and the big one is Poe. We all knew a nerf was coming, right? Everyone on the boards was complaining incessantly. The real question though is, what does this nerf do to Poe? Does it put Poe in a spot where he's somebody you should no longer go for? What exactly is the final result? So let's talk about what happens to him. The big changes to him are that his expose chance is reduced, and what this means is it's less likely he puts expose on your opponent's characters, which means they're going to take a little bit less damage. And the other thing is his tenacity goes down, which means he's more likely to get stunned or get hit with something else. So in other words, Poe, if you ask nearly everyone, Poe is almost exactly the same as he was pre-patch and post-patch. He still fulfills the exact same role. That is a fast character that goes pretty early in the battle, hopefully first for you. He goes before your other opponent's characters. He puts speed down on them all so that your glass cannons all get to fire before any of theirs do, putting ability block on them, killing half of them outright, essentially nearly completely wiping out your opponent's army before they get to strike back. And so what's great about Poe is that doesn't really change. What does change is if he doesn't go first, maybe someone can stun him, he will probably die faster, and characters will do a little bit less damage because they'll be less exposed. So he's actually looks like he's in such a good spot post nerf that most people are already complaining. I'm gonna say I like the nerf actually. Here's the problem that EA CG faces and us as the free-to-play player face. For us, it takes months to get Poe Dameron up. He comes in Cantina shipments. I know I sort of held off once I knew he was going to get nerfed to see how hard he would get nerfed. Now that I saw it's not that hard, I'm pouring all my resources into him once again. And the problem is if they had brought the nerf hammer down on him all the way, all these free-to-play players that have spent months buffing him up would now have a worthless character. And that's a really dangerous precedent to set because then the free-to-play player is always sort of lost. I can never put my resources into a great character knowing it's going to get nerfed. I have to somehow pick like a middle-of-the-road character, knowing that that character won't get nerfed. Or not a middle-of-the-road, but a good character. But you can never feel comfortable with the elite characters. So EA here has basically said an elite character will stay an elite character. Yes, we will tone them down a little bit if they're too good, but they're still going to be an elite character. So this, I think, is great, and it also leaves them room to nerf him once again if the meta doesn't shift. What it does do, by making him slightly weaker, it gives the metagame more room to breathe, potentially, and to shift. If that doesn't happen, I'm sure they'll come down with another nerf. Bottom line, though, get Poe. He's bonkers. He's not getting nerfed nearly as much as I feared he was. He should continue to be fantastic coming out of the patch. All right, so let's talk about some other changes. Another big one is the First Order TIE Pilot. As expected, he's getting nerfed. I mean, he was basically a glass cannon that was made of metal. And you can't have that, right? You can't have someone have the damage of a glass cannon and then not be glass. So they basically changed the way her stats are going to work so that he should have far less hit points. They've also changed his ability to not double tap quite as often. So he'll basically move to what he should have been. A really strong damage character that will fit in very nicely with like a Poe glass cannon lineup. But he won't be that character in a Poe glass cannon lineup that never dies because he has so much hit points. Another big change is Mace Windu. So Mace Windu is going to go from being utterly unplayable by anyone pretty much to, I don't know, maybe he's going to be good. I don't even know where he is in here. There he is. Oops, that's not him. But essentially he gets a whole kit change now. And I'm just going to read from you what the patch says. So basically his basic ability now deals 25 to 50% more damage while he's above 50% health. So if they don't focus him down at all, he does a lot more damage. And he even heals himself once he drops below 50% health. So if they do try to focus him down, it says he heals Mace for 50 to 70% of the damage dealt while he's below 50% health. So basically he does damage and gets half of that back to his health pool. So he could theoretically have a pretty cool basic attack where he is doing extra damage when he's healthy, getting his health back so he's hard to kill and does extra damage. Potentially that could be good. His unique ability has been changed. At the start of his turns, Mace has a 30 to 60% chance to expose a random enemy until the end of his turn, and then he gets 10 to 25% turn meter whenever he attacks an exposed enemy. So basically, there's a chance that he'll expose somebody, and then if he attacks that person, he's going to get some turn meter back. That's a little bit RNG, right? If he's exposing the guy you didn't want to attack, then now what? Do you attack that guy anyway to get the turn meter, to get the extra damage? It's going to be interesting. We're going to have to kind of see how that works. I know I won't be making him right away. I'm going to be looking at a lot of other players I know and who have more resources than I have and see how he goes for them and sort of go from there. Additionally, it's great to see him get buffed. First of all, he's Mace Windu. He shouldn't be a complete punk. Second of all, with the Yoda quest going that I talked about last time, where you're going to need a lot of good Jedi, he's pretty easy to farm. So having him be good and easy to farm could be great. Not surprisingly, Phasma's getting a nerf. And I'm really happy that they're not nerfing her into oblivion. They're just making a minor change. So in the past, it had been that basically anything anyone ever did could trigger a bonus attack. So you heal somebody, Poggle does his offense up. All these things were triggering bonus attacks. Now it's simply they're going to trigger off of attack. So it kind of depends on your lineup, right? If you are exploiting this idea and having like 3 healers and bonus attacks and trying to get stuff off of that, then it's going to be a big nerf for you. If you were just doing like a glass cannon lineup anyway, then it really won't change much for her. But so it's interesting that they looked at her and they said, okay, a minor tweak for her is necessary. A character that has a really odd change is Savage Opress. He now has ability that, first of all, his unique ability grants him offense up for 1 turn when he received damage. That's pretty cool. I like that. So he's supposed to be like this attacking guy. That's great. But his special seems pretty lame. His special does now massive damage and can't be evaded, so that's good, when used against enemies at 25% health or less. Now, that sounds great, but characters at 25% health or less, massive damage isn't when you want that, right? That's where I use somebody who's going to do a fairly small amount of damage because most hits are going to kill that person. So it's a really weird ability that seems like it would be great against somebody with tons of health, where it would still take 2 shots to kill them. But I just don't see that as a good enough change to make him playable. We'll have to see. Maybe I'm wrong on that one. Ventress is getting a change in that she's actually going to work. So there's been in the past some bugs with her where her special wasn't working properly, and so that's apparently going to work. Her healing effect is going to be, it looks like it's going to be changed a little bit. I think this is a buff. Healing effect altered to be 20 to 40% of max health plus per effect dispelled. So I don't know. She's going to be interesting. The problem with her is she's still a worse version of Qui-Gon, and now that you can get Qui-Gon in the Cantina shipments, I don't see why you don't just get Qui-Gon. It's funny, I made a video saying she was worth getting, and then immediately Qui-Gon was available the next day, and it was like, well, that was a dumb video. She's really not worth getting anymore. That's really the only other major changes. Talia is getting changed to be usable by the AI. Now if you see Talia in a lineup, you just laugh hysterically because Talia will like try to heal herself, damaging herself, and just crazy things. Talia will be used in a smarter way now by the AI, which is good. So it's pretty pointless having a character that the AI can't use at all because it's really limiting for us, since you like, if Talia is your best character and you go into arena with her, and you can use her just fine, but then the AI uses her in a just ridiculous manner, you think, well, in my 5th battle I can't use her, I need to pull her out and put somebody else in that the AI can actually use so I don't get obliterated. So I like that change. So overall, I'd say this doesn't seem to be a really meta shifting set of changes, which is kind of interesting. It seems like Poe and Poe decks, Poe glass cannon decks, are going to come out of it very well still. Like I said, the first order TIE pilot drops down to like regular glass cannon level. You know, you have Geonosian Soldier, IG-86, IG-88, all these glass cannons, and the first order pilot will slot more into that rather than just baller character that you use in every lineup because he's ridiculous. So I like that. So overall, I like the changes fine. I have seen a lot of people are really, really upset that Poe didn't get harder because they're worried that the meta is going to be exactly the same. And that may be, but it may not be. It may be that they've actually done a lot of internal testing and found that, you know, a small tweak is just enough to make it so that maybe Poe isn't the best choice. So we'll have to see. Additionally, as more people have access to Qui-Gon and Qui-Gon's able to remove his taunt, that could be really important as well. So we'll have to see moving forward, coming out of this patch, how the shakeup happens. But really, for the free-to-play player, the bottom line is you can keep getting Poe, get him. He's bonkers. And one last thing, and this factors into this whole character buff situation. The arena is going to change. You're going to be able to see your opponent's lineup. And so this is really affecting Poe. Poe's a pain. He's a real pain. We all know that. Now, if you don't run Poe, you're going to be that poor chucklehead that everyone goes, refresh, refresh. Oh, this dude's not running Poe? Oh, that's amazing. I'll take out this guy. So this is a PSA. Get Poe. Get him to like 4 or 5 stars so you at least can have him in your 5th battle, even if you don't necessarily want him, so that your opponents will see they've got Poe. I'm not screwing with that guy. All right, so hopefully you found this helpful, and I'll see you next time on Tiny Grams Games.